Hey, so I'm gonna give my input on the Ferguson case, I guess. Things along the lines of that. Um, I can't say that I know like 100% of the entire story behind it, but I remember some people were asking me like what I thought about it and things like that. So, well, the way I think about it, like starting off with the actual case itself, I kind of compare it to any other crime that happens. First and foremost, I don't think it's I don't think it's an even bigger deal than any other crime that goes on. Every crime is bad, so I don't take it any closer to heart than I actually do other crimes, and I do believe that other people have taken it closer to their heart than they actually should have, compared to other crimes that actually go on, things like that. I think by everyone taking it so close to heart, it's what causes things to actually get worse. Because what happens is people start to get the wrong idea about cops. It leads to about two questions. Are you against cops because you feel like they are abusing their power, or are you against cops because they're white and you feel like they're racist? You see, those are two different questions. And I keep seeing a lot of videos that display cops abusing their powers, but alongside of that, they're also displaying thoughts that these cops are racist, trying to display proof on it and so forth. But in the midst of it, we still see that cops, when they abuse their power, it's on anyone. Not just black folks, it's on anyone. And so I think this Ferguson case has led to that bigger problem. It was already an issue anyways, though. Before this Ferguson case, it was already an issue that people in this country will assume that white cops are going to be racist if they do anything wrong towards a black person. That's just how it is. There's a reason for it. The reason is because of so much racial pride on the black race. There's so much pride on the black race. Everyone has it, not even just black folks. Everyone has it. Every race has a lot of pride for black people. Mexicans, Asians, whites, everybody respects them. Everybody respects that race. Why? Because of the way that we're being taught in school about it. So it leads to that. If you have a white child, especially if they are born in a black family, but let's say that they're not, they're just born in a family, and you raise them to say, hey, you respect black folks. Most children will be loyal to what they've been taught. That's just how the human body works, at least if you play your cards right. They will be loyal to what they've been taught. They will grow up and they will respect them, just like they should. You can teach them to be racist against black folks. You can teach them to be just about anything if you do it the right way anyways. So that's what's happening in this country right now. This is why there's so many riots and all this other shit about Ferguson that goes on. It's because of too much pride for black folks. When we live in a country that has all this benefit for a certain race, we are already in the wrong, because we're benefiting a race in an ass-kissing manner. And so when people grow up, they kiss ass. And that's what happens. Here's one, Black History Month, and then Black History. Every time we learn about Black history, we don't always, at least in my past, from what I remember, we didn't always learn about the significance of black people, which was, in my opinion, if we're going to have a Black history, that's what it should be about. We should learn about black people, not learn about how evil white people were. You see the difference? There's learning about black people and getting into the black culture, which is what black history, or any black history, should mostly be about. But on the other hand, we mostly learn about how evil white people were. And it's making everyone, especially younger people, grow up to think, damn, white people were so bad, I assume that they're just as bad nowadays. They must be out to kill black people. The funny part is, there's a lot of white Uncle Toms out there. There's a lot of white people that disrespect their own fucking race. More than anything. There's a lot of white people that simply respect blacks probably more than black people respect black people. And that's saying a lot. But nevertheless, we have that thought because when we learn this history, we learn it the wrong way. I mean, I don't want my child at a young age learning about, how racist whites were in preschool or in kindergarten, or I think it was third grade actually, that I learned it. I first learned about Martin Luther King in third grade, which was nice. but it led to learning about the racism that went on and so forth. That is too young of an age for a young child to be learning about that shit, because all we know is that when they grow up, they're going to assume that whites were that evil. And they will generalize whites. They will not just say some whites, most whites back then were evil, because it wasn't all of them. It wasn't even most of them. Back in the day, at least I refuse to believe that back in the day, out of all the nice white people that tried to help blacks and even actually rooted for them and stood up for them, there's no way in hell that there were that many racist white people. It could have at least been a little less than half, but that's just a guess from me. I say it that way because there were so many whites that actually stood up for blacks. It's just the fact that we learn it the wrong way. We make it seem like they were the most evilest thing in the world. But in the end, it hardly compares to how much crime we have going on today. For example, like back then, if a black person had gotten hung on a cross, that didn't happen every fucking day. That happened every once in a while. But we think it happened every moment. Like, we imagine that we can't even go out in the streets before, like back in the 1930s, that we can't even go out in the streets and hang out without getting killed by a white person. That's what people typically think. Well, if that's true, why are there so many blacks that have actually invented things? Why are there so many black musicians that successfully have white fans? Why were there so many black boxers? And I've saw this before. These black and white boxing videos back in the old days. I don't know the exact time period, but I know it was the time where it was black and white and there was no color. We assumed white people were damn racist at that time. I remember seeing this black boxer. I don't remember his name at all. And he knocked out this white boxer. And this is a white crowd we see here. Bound to be a white crowd because it's back in the old days. I mean, those were usually more likely to be, rich people were usually more likely to be white. And this crowd cheered for this guy. He knocked this dude out. I mean, he made this white guy's body pop up in the air, fall on his back. If anyone can recall that, please let me know what that boxing video was called, who the boxers was, because I don't remember. I saw it on TV. It was in black and white. Black guy versus white guy. Knocked him clean out. And this white crowd rooted for him. Rooted for this black man knocking out this white guy. Popping his body up in the air. That's crazy. It was an uppercut. They rooted for him. You might say, hey, it was the heat of the moment, but to me, racism is hatred. That's a lot of feelings. I don't think the heat of this excitement is going to actually get in the way of their hatred for a black person that they want to see get knocked out. Prime example, even right now, we don't have that much hatred as supposedly the people back then had, because even now, like when people watch UFC, they watch boxing, how many boos do you hear towards the fighter that they don't want to win? Well, I watched this boxing match in black and white, black man versus white man, heard no boos on this black guy. None. Nada. Knocked him out, still no boos. Nothing but cheers. This is what kind of led to me to think that we over-exaggerate in school about how white people used to be, and especially we do not clear things up about how white people are now. We don't clear it up. Having these kids growing up thinking that white people are out to attack them, out to kill them. Now that all we see in the media is these white cops that have killed black cops that so happen to have killed them, even though there are many different diverse situations. Now we really think that the white man is racist. Stupidly. Yet you go to school and you still have white friends freely. They will tell you that their parents are not racist. I've been to many white schools. Never have I actually been around so many racist white people whatsoever, at all. I've seen more racist black people than I have whites. I've seen a couple of racist white boys. I was friends with them. I'm not an Uncle Tom at all. Not an Uncle Tom at all. They didn't even think that I was an Uncle Tom. I was offended. I was actually offended hugely. I was really defensive over my race when I was younger. And I remember I hung out with two racist white boys. I was easily offended by them, but we were able to play video games, so I mean it was, games were just like more important than anything at that time. I don't know. That was the only racial experience I could ever actually think of. And they had said racial things, and that was it. From white people, and I've been around many of them. So there you have it. And dealing with this Ferguson case, I believe that is the cause of all these riots. That's the cause of all these harsh feelings, the cause of all these people thinking that whites are racist, blah, 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 the white man's trying to kill the black man, or that cops are racist. All this stuff that shouldn't be up there. That's what happens when you give all these blacks all this fucking pride. It's because of this damn history, the way they have to learn this shit in school. They should be learning about the significance of black folks, not about how evil white folks are. And give these people a news flash. Let them know that anybody can be fucking racist. That black people can be racist. I mean, I cannot stand all these commercials showing an example of racism, but they always make the white person the racist person. And that's not how this country is at all. First of all, and they always make the victim black. First of all, the biggest victims of racism, in my opinion, are always Asian. People disrespect them more than any fucking race. And anybody disrespects them. Even they disrespect their own fucking race. So, I would have to... And then there's these movies that constantly display racism coming from a white person. So many movies that you can just easily name out that show a white person being racist, when it's not even like that in real life. Shit that you see in that movie does not happen in real life. It's very rare for it to happen. It can happen, it's capable, but it doesn't mean it couldn't happen the other way around either. So there's so many twists that I don't like. I would like to see a movie showing a black male being racist as an example, or as a comedy or anything, and a retaliation for the white male. Not that I hate black people or anything like that. I'm just tired of seeing this example of racism only being inflicted on showing blacks as victims and whites as predators, when it's never like that all the time. I've been in school many times. I can tell you I've seen something different. And so that's, to me, the cause of it. And then there's more things that give black people pride, such as all these black colleges and anything black related. Out in the open, just shoving it in people's faces. Yeah, black this, black that. All public. Just giving them too much pride, making them think it's acceptable to be selfish with their own race. It's acceptable to not have that much heart towards any other races. And so they're so easily defensive when they see something like that happen. The Ferguson case and the rest of these other cop killings, or cop killing black males or whatever. They don't give the time out to actually focus on the actual people who are white who take abuse from these cops as well. Or you know what? The cops that take abuse from these criminals. No one ever actually stops to think about that. It's a dangerous job. But that's really all I had to say. I don't have too much to say about the actual case of Ferguson. I guess I could say if do I think it was right. As far as the cop, I don't know. I don't really know anything about like the justice system or anything like that too much. It's really hard for me to figure out. I would have to do too much research, and I just don't feel like getting into that. I only know very little information about the guy getting shot, and the shots seemed to be unnecessary, and there was a tussle with the cop somehow, and I heard that the cop had bruises somewhere. It's always funny. It's always funny how the information of the cop or the watch guy had bruises at the end of the day. So, not that it was a lie or anything, I'm just saying like that's usually the turning point of the situation when you see that, okay, the guy had bruises, so that kind of turns the situation completely around and makes you rethink who was actually the predator or who was actually the prey. Who knows? But I don't know enough to be able to say if it was right or wrong for the situation. I only know one thing, is that the amount of gunshots, I guess, supposedly, were definitely wrong, and that's about all I truly know. I can only think that I can't think racism out of it. I mean, there's been too much cop brutality on anybody for me to think racism. I'd love to. I would love to, but I would think racism if I had enough proof. But I've been able to see cop brutality on anyone through these videos that people continuously try to make trend. So I can only think out of. I'm not trying to defend the cop or anything. I can only think that a possibility that cops are trained. They could be trained in a very strict manner. They could be trained to be gun happy or taser happy. I don't know. I know that they must have a strict way of training. I do know that when I go to stores and places, except for fast food restaurants, employees can be bitchy. They can be bitchy, and they can be mean, nasty, so forth, if they are in the position to be so. Or, they don't have to curse at you or anything. They'll try to do their job to the best of their fake happy ability. But you can see right through that and see something very bad. And so I assume that it would definitely be twice as worse with cops. I wouldn't be surprised because, their job is dealing with people who are nasty to them, people who hate them. So they're going to be twice as worse than that. That's what happens. It'll happen in a cycle, a circle. It goes around and around. We can't sit here and continue to hate people constantly and inflict that hatred. They're only going to inflict it right back. It's only going to create a war within our own region. It's like, can you imagine being in a room full of people who can't get along, people who hate each other and refuse to actually be nice and try to get along and be giving, or I don't know how to really, resolving basically. Instead, they want to attack each other. It's a dangerous ass room to be in. Well, that's this country right now. So it doesn't really, it clearly just will not solve anything. Trying so bad, at least if you hate the cops deep down inside, I can understand. But to try to influence pain onto them and make their jobs harder and wanting to be a bitch towards them, it's only going to come back worse at the end of the day. We have to be able to fix this solution, in my opinion. We have to understand each other. Obviously, cops have to understand how they treat people and how they abuse their power and so forth, and how they speak to people. I've seen some mean-ass cops before that were easily ticked off at every little thing. But I know, and I think we all know, that comes from easily ticked off citizens at every little thing. So it comes in a cycle. We have to be able to stop and understand each other and be able to uplift all of each other. Do justice for everyone. Do not dare do justice for citizens. Do justice for cops too, because they still are citizens. They're still regular people like us. At the end of the day, at the end of their job, they're still trying to do shit to make a living. They're still stressed out like you are. It's vice versa. It's a mirror. We can't do shit for just half of another. And stop doing shit for just one race. Do it for every race. Everybody faces trouble. Stop being selfish. Do not ever do shit for just black folks. They're not the only people taking damage. Bullshit. Never. Ever. Not one race in this country is actually fully satisfied whatsoever. So we have to do everything for everybody. That's like the biggest thing that I want to try to get through all of my videos, is that people have to do shit for everyone. We have to have a heart for everything. Not every little tiny little bit of thing, but we definitely need to be more diverse and have more variety within our actual judgment towards people, and wanting justice for everybody. Again, I promise you, unless you want justice for cops also, you won't fix the problem. Because this comes from the fact that cops are stressed out. Cop brutality doesn't come from racism. I mean, it can, but most cop brutality, fuck no. It comes from abusing power that really deals with a lot of stress, obviously. Having a hard job, maybe having a hard time being at home. I mean, you can think of a million problems that goes on. Whatever problems you have, most likely will be the same that they go through. So we have to be able to actually want justice for them too. That way they can bring us justice a lot better. If their lives are good, then they can protect our lives for the better. If their lives suck, they will do a horrible job. That's what you have to expect. And if their lives suck, and you want to say fuck them and leave their lives in that position, they'll say the same to you. They'll say the same right back at you. Even beyond their control. Their anger will say that shit. Because that's where anger comes from. You have to help everyone. Again, if their lives are better, then they can help. They'll do a better job at their position. Yes, there's always going to be a person who gets out of line, blah, 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 but it will be lessened, without a doubt. Don't try to bring up how much they get paid. Money does not make a person's life better. That's one of the flaws, the deepest flaws about this country. We think we need more money. But what if it's time that we need? What if we spent all of our fucking time working for the cash that we need, but we have no time to even spend it, to even have fun, to relax? So it may not be the money. Money is just green paper. It pays your bills, gets food in the house, but does it give you time to spend with your kids? Does it give you a family? Does it make your family successful? As far as like happiness and mood and picking the right girlfriend, there's like a variety of things that you can go on forever that money cannot cover. That takes your own body and your own decision and personality to fix. So many problems. Everybody's going through it. We have to do justice for everybody then. Because every person is connected to another thing. One person uplifts another thing. Citizens pretty much make up an economy and a government or a neighborhood and so forth. Good citizens make a good neighborhood, a good economy. We grow up and we do things for this country. Cops protect our people. So we're all holding each other's weight. I wish I could explain that a lot better. But as you can see what I mean, we're all holding each other's weight. Don't let one person drop down. Don't let it happen. So if it is true that a lot of cops, I'm not going to say a lot, but it can't be most, but if more, well, everything is more than it should be. Everything is more bad than it should be. But if it's a problem bigger than most problems, cop brutality, that means they are dropping us. They're holding our weight and they are failing to do so. And if we drop them, they'll drop us even lower. We gotta stick together. So that's just my advice to everyone. Let's do justice for everyone. Not just for your own fucking race. Not just for just citizens and criminals. For cops too. For white people too. Asian people too. Mexicans too. And black folks. Everyone.